when a potential fine or a potential claim is a big enough risk to say it's going to happen. And HMRC are basically saying, this is a simplification, that if you can do a risk assessment and prove that you have risk, then they will allow you tax relief on that risk. So there's people out there, I'm assuming it's true because otherwise HMRC wouldn't let them have it, but there's people out there that are putting assessing this risk and saying, you know what, I could be at risk for £100,000, and that £100,000 can then be put into a set of accounts as a loss, as a liability, as a potential problem, and HMRC will give tax liability, give that as a tax refund situation. So you can actually, if you've got £100,000 of potential loss, you don't have to spend that money. You just have to prove that you've got that loss. That means you can get around £20,000 back in tax. There's people doing it for a potential £1 million claim. It depends on the size of your business and then the size of the loss that we can look at. But that means that then you can claim for the year before because they'll allow 2 years of claim. So it's quite a lucrative thing if you feel that you've got risk or we can create risk. Why I'm bringing this up is because it's a provision. Now, when you've got a provision, it means it hasn't happened. So a risk is a risk at day one, but day two it becomes less of a risk, and 12 months down the line it becomes less of a risk again. So over a certain period of time, that risk reduces. And what that means is that HMRC expect that money to be paid back. Now, the point here is that there are firms out there that are saying we can get you tax backs by doing this, and the revenue are quite open to it. It is a thing there. But where I don't like it is that these firms, or a lot of firms, are charging 30, 40, 50% of the money they get back to you, but they're not really getting it back. You've got to look at it as an interest-free loan. So if you're willing to pay 30, 40% of the money they get back to you and then end up having, a very strong percentage of people will have to pay this money back, then that's fine. But do be aware that you're not really getting a tax refund to keep. You're getting a tax refund while that liability is there. I mean, if you do incur the liability, then obviously you don't need to give the tax relief back on that. So if you do get approached by people offering you grand tax saving schemes, all I can say to you is that some of them are very clever, very well thought out, but some perhaps they're not being painted. So do run them by me, because I don't want you to miss out on them. On the other hand, I don't want you to get drawn into nonsense.